Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your hope, Ty Christensen.
I'm your hope.
I'm your only hope.
Did I say hope?
Yep. I'm your only hope.
I'm your only hope, Ty Christensen. The answer to all your pain. The author of all your pain, Mr. Bond. We've got Jordan Christensen.
Your baby's racist.
I was literally going to say that, dude.
That was the best line of the movie. Dang it, that was the only quote I put down. Oh, one other one. The past sucks, man.
Yes.
Those are the two best quotes in this movie.
They were the two best quotes.
Love it.
Gosh.
Grant Mickle is also on the pod.
How's it going?
I don't remember that being in the movie, but it very well could have been. We're also got Cameron Mickle.
The present is a miracle, bruh.
Prison is a miracle, bruh. He says bruh. I love that. We are talking about a movie that came out in 2018 called Synchronic. Synchronic was directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, or Aaron Moorhead. Writer was Justin Benson. This must have been his baby. It stars Anthony Mackie. Hawkman, or is it Hawkman or Hotman?
Falcon, dude. Get your superhero.
Oh,
right,
excuse me.
nerd.
Yeah.
Hawkman.
Who is Hawkman? Hawkman's...
Dude, that's
is it
DC.
Hawkeye that I'm thinking of?
It's Hawkeye.
No,
Hawk
Hawkeye
Girl.
is the guy
Hawk
I was thinking
Girl
of.
is from DC. She's from the
But there's
Justice
also
League.
Hawkman.
Hawk Girl. There's
know.
Hawkman, yeah. And that one episode where
That's
all the
what I was
Hawk people
saying.
come in down. See,
I'm
I know
aware.
some of my stuff. I
wasn't
made a little
negating
slip because
you,
isn't
Grant,
he?
stupid
Isn't
monkey.
he?
You said it was wrong.
Isn't he Captain America
your
now? See,
brain!
I'm all confused. He's now Captain America with Bucky, though, isn't he?
What? That's Falcon.
I don't know.
Well, I know he was Falcon, but isn't he now Captain America, or does he
Oh,
going
yeah,
to
'cause he's got
continue
the
as
shield.
Falcon with a shield?
Well, he's getting his own
Does he take on the
movie.
identity of Captain America
I don't
now,
think
or does
so.
he
I
just?
think he's
I
staying
think
as
so.
He'll
Falcon.
be Falcon with a shield.
I think he's staying as Falcon.
I kind of like Captain. Well, then again, I don't really care, but I just like the idea of Captain America being freaking Anthony Mackie. He's so cool. It also stars
Black Captain America. That's pretty dope.
straight up, man. You know what this movie reminded me of? Get Out. We're gonna get into it in just a
Yes.
second. A lot of Get Out. Okay, so we got Jamie Dornan, Katie Aselton, Ali Ionides,
You don't have to say every name, Ty. It's okay.
Rami
Just say
Monsef, Bill Oberst Jr.
big
The
names. You're
actual
good,
people
go on.
that people that
I
Oh, well.
don't know if that's all the big names.
His wife, his redheaded wife, is from
Kate Adair, crackhead girl.
the game. What's that football? The Squad? Cameron, what's that show called?
The League.
The League. She's in the League.
League.
She's so funny. I love her.
Nice. Well, this movie is like one of those small sci-fi. This is a great film. So, what was it like watching it the first time? Have any of us seen it more than once?
I watched it right before the podcast, so I was able to sneak in a second viewing.
All right, Jordan, you'll have to tell us because I think this is our first viewing for most of us. But Jordan, what was it like watching it for the first time and rewatching it for the pod?
First time I watched it on my birthday last week, and holy cow, I absolutely loved this movie. I was like, I need to watch a good movie on my birthday. The trailer looked pretty dope, and I'm like, time travel? What? And I started watching it, and I was excited for Cameron to see it. Maybe I overhyped it. I know I do. I got to stop comparing
He
all my
only compared
movies
it
to
to Donnie
Cameron's.
Darko. Fetching nerd.
I know. I need to stop comparing all these movies to Cameron's favorite movies, like telling him that Memories of Murder is like Zodiac. Like, I'm sorry, I don't
Except
mean
maybe
to.
better.
I'll stop saying that if you want. It's just like, its movie has time travel and drugs and like, I don't know.
It's okay, Cameron. See, me and Jordan have like an imbalance. See, he compares it to your favorite movies, so you'll watch it and you'll be disappointed and let down because they're not as good as your favorite movies, at least to you anyway. And then I have a problem where I undersell Jordan movies. I'm like, Jordan, you should watch this.
And then I never watch
And
it.
He'll be like, he'll never watch it, and then he watches it. It's like, oh, how have we not discussed this on the podcast? I'm like, because you wouldn't even watch it when I recommended it. Maybe that's why, because you haven't seen it until now.
Well, no, because
Jeez.
I went in zero expectations, knowing literally nothing, and I kind of came out with the same like thing as Cameron. So
Dude, I love this movie.
I enjoyed
Wait,
it
how
more
did you
than
come
Grant
out?
did.
The first time watching this, dude, I bawled my eyes out at the end. Are you kidding me? That handshake? Oh my gosh, that got to me. I was just like, oh my gosh.
I got the feels
I'm not
there,
gonna lie.
and the dog, Dude,
Yes,
was,
oh my
man,
gosh, his
best friend.
dog. That was
freaking
devastating.
What Hawking is his dog?
yeah,
Which is really cool callback to like Stephen Hawking because He got into physics. Okay, just saying. We caught these little things.
Oh, look at Ty, a little cheap. And so
We're gonna spoil the heck out of this movie. So,
oh yeah, we were gonna spoil it. There's so many moments that I was like stressing out of my mind. Like the moment when he's like, it was written on the rock, and then I'm like, oh no, he has to write it on the rock, and I'm like, he's gonna get stuck back in time. That just broke my heart. I just love stuff like that where it's like, oh my gosh, he was the one who wrote it, and I just.
Let me stress something real quick. This was the most stressed I've had in a movie for a long time.
Yes.
So there is a scene where he travels back in time and he appears in some guy's couch, right? The guy clearly doesn't seem to like him, not just because he appears to be breaking and entering, but okay. The second most terrifying scene is when he calls for the police and the fetching Ku Klux Klan comes in. They're the fetching police
Dude,
of New Orleans back in the early. Oh my gosh, that freaked me out. I literally was having a panic attack, and he's trying to get his dog
back on the
Hawking
couch
to come with him. That freaked me out so much. Like I am so empathetic. I honestly don't think African Americans have ever had it good in the United States.
He's like,
there's nothing like the present
sucks.
day. This movie just reiterated that. Where I'm like, wow, that's like a hard look at the history, man. They've always had it rough. So
Yeah, you're gonna be my slave.
you're gonna be my slave, like belligerent. Yeah,
okay.
crazy. Freaking.
As he steps on a mine, it's just like obliterated.
Dude, I think they did a really good misdirect on that part because you're just like, oh, she's gonna step on it, and then she just like steps over it like slowly twice, and then like the explosion makes her step back. I was like, oh, see him.
Yeah.
Let's go into two of our favorite things because none of us have seen it more than once. But I guess
Well,
it's
but
just
what was it like watching the first
watching the
time?
first time?
Yeah, no one wants to know that.
I
Let's just
do.
get into it. We'll say what we
Amateur
think
hour.
about
That's the best viewing experience.
it. It's the most innocent.
Cameron, I want to hear yours and Grant's.
Go ahead.
Okay, definitely watching it for the first time.
I overhyped it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was a little overhyped from Jordan, but I usually, and I didn't watch a trailer or even read the summary, which I genuinely enjoy doing because I like to try to like kind of put a lot of pressure on the director to be able to engage me and make me understand what's going on and throw me into the plot well without having to do like descriptions or whatever. So that was just one of my the few things. It was a little tough for the first like 40 minutes, kind of getting into it and understanding what was going on. It's kind of similar, kind of gave me a similar vibe to Enemy, of you're just kind of like, I'm not really sure what's happening until about like midway through. You're like, okay, I'm starting to pick up what's happening. Okay, I'm starting to figure it out. And then the ends, you're just
Yeah,
like, I'm
but
confused.
still way easier than Enemy. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
way
way
easier than Enemy.
Enemy is the most
I
confusing
still,
movie
after
I've ever
finishing
seen.
Enemy, I don't understand what it is.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I had to watch like a 15-minute like video essay on it, and I was like, I think I understand about 50% of it now. I don't know, but overall, as soon as it picked up and like as soon as I started to pick it up, with the whole time travel, Jordan knows I'm a geek for that, so I really loved that whole part, and that was really clever with like the different placement in the room changes the time you go back, which I thought was really sweet. I was like, that's a really clever idea.
Yeah, I got chills at that part.
Yeah, I definitely didn't cry like Jordan was mentioning. I was sad. I was definitely sad at the dog part, but the handshake I almost thought was a little cheesy. I'm sorry, maybe I'm just terrible. I thought it was kind of cheesy.
Dude, that got to me.
I just wanted him to pull him back through into his time. I don't want to be stuck back there in that revolutionary hellhole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, that would
Terrible.
suck.
So yeah, what
Yikes.
if you went back and like killed George Washington or whatever and just like totally changed history forever? That's what I was thinking. I'm like,
Why would he want to kill George Washington?
I'm just saying. I'm like he definitely can't get too involved or defend himself like very well because otherwise he's gonna like have butterfly effect and like change the history of time.
My prediction, he probably gets enslaved like 5 seconds after he's done shaking that guy's hand and gets on a boat and dies on a freaking
Well,
trip
after he
somewhere.
carves in forever onto the rock first.
Always, Jordan.
Always.
Oh, always, dang it.
Always.
I think he spells
Always,
it
that's
wrong.
right.
But
You act like he's not intelligent. He did it because... Forget it.
he said all, and then he said ways. Like, he did 2 L's. Why?
Oh, well, do you remember what the story he was telling him, right? He said that it was the story about when... I don't even remember the whole thing, but he told his daughter this story about... What was it? Like, all the ways in which we do something, right? And then he thought that it was a message written from the guy's disappeared daughter, but it was actually him that wrote the message. Because it was the last conversation that he had with his best friend.
The last words he ever
Did you
said.
not catch that, Grant? Go watch it again.
It was the last words he like ever said to him.
Dude,
It was spelled all the ways. Yeah,
I
all the
didn't
ways
hear
in which,
like half the dialogue, so I don't.
Why did you not hear half the dialogue?
It's just like Tenet. Oh, they're saying stuff that's important.
Grant's like, yeah. Grant's like, they need to have subtitles or something. I don't understand what's going on.
I could have turned it
I
up,
don't know.
dude. I didn't know.
I know, but like,
I could have turned it up.
well, I just wasn't very engaged in it, and so it just. Well, they just
They
like
just didn't
they were talking
care?
about a bunch of random stuff, and I'm just like, well, what does this have to do?
It
with
wasn't
the plot?
random.
Like, why? Yeah, it was.
What does this have
They just-
anything to do with the movie?
Real quick, Grant. Real quick. Did it ever occur to you that if a filmmaker makes a film, that every single shot was purposeful
No.
and had meaning?
No.
Just maybe.
never thought of that
Grant's like
side.
watching it. He's like, "What's all these random shots doing in here?"
Just a bunch of scenes in
It's just like B footage of some other film. It's just like stock footage. You're like, I don't get it.
Well, if you've seen Neil Breen's movies, then maybe.
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau. Here's a shot of all of us going out to get red roses, and then, okay, the weirdest interaction ever of all time. You're my favorite customer. Oh, sorry, Grant. We
Yeah,
love
Grant.
Disney.
Sorry, we're giving you a hard time, Grant.
I don't care.
Grant's like, you misspelled it. It was part of the problem. It wasn't the word all the ways. It was all the ways. And
Well, it was just
It was
they were
like
so
the
close
crazy
to each other.
science
I
thing.
thought that's what it was supposed to be. That's why it didn't make sense. It doesn't matter.
Grant's like -3 points because he didn't put the space.
I don't care. It's okay. I didn't understand the movie.
It's
so.
okay, great. You're with the majority right here. I checked IMDb. It's at a 5.6 or something. So you gave it a 5 out of 10. You're essentially with the average audience. It's okay. Me and Ty are
Well,
just above
I was generous
the
and I gave it a
average
6. But yeah,
What?
I said I was generous and I gave it a
Above
6.
average.
So
You just change that right now.
no, it was already. In
I gave it a solid 10 out of 10, cheaps. You know what? I'd like this better than Donnie Darko. Yeah, cheap.
Yeah, you're not being on the Donnie Darko podcast.
hey, man, I got nothing against Donnie Darko.
No, I love Donnie Darko. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I personally like this movie better.
Better than Donnie. Interesting. So I think there's a really cool discussion to be had here. So let's get into two of our favorite things real quick.
Dude, I can never trust anything you say ever again, Jordan.
Oh my. Jordan, what were your two favorite things from this movie?
Oh, I love the time travel aspect of it. The just every time he goes back, it's pretty well contained. Like I think it would have been fun maybe to explore more of it. Like that's just I was so many times I'm like, oh, I want him to go back so bad, but it's like he's like I've
So
only
you
got
want more drugs? Is that what I understand?
yeah. He's like I've only
Pump
got
and full of drugs.
5 in the whole universe, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is so stressful because he can only use so many to go back in time, and I thought that was so cool, and I love how he starts to learn things. I think somebody had mentioned like where you're standing goes back to a certain time, and I just thought that was really clever. And I'm assuming because of the example they gave about the record, it's so if you go back at the same exact place and if you're standing in the same spot, it's not exact same time, because if we're taking that record right, it's like if you go back to that spot, you go a little off. Like it's kind of like the further in time you go, the time moves a little bit slower, if that makes sense. Because like she was already in the pit when he went back to go find her, if that makes sense. Like,
Well, it's still happening, correct? So he went like time is happening. The whole record is spinning.
yeah.
But does it spin differently? That's interesting. I am curious as to know whether or not she spent more time there than he did in the present day.
Well, like I said, they gave the example of the record, and if we're basing it off of that, after that scientist said, the closer you
Right.
get in through history, the slower it moves, right?
Yeah.
So he missed her just by a couple minutes, not by a bunch of weeks or whatever, however long she had been gone.
I hope so, right? Because she did seem fine, right? She's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think he just missed her by a little bit.
But if she was farther out, she would have traveled more time and distance.
well, no, she
because
was further
she get
in.
Closer. Oh, she was further in?
Because on the
Why?
record, like time started where time began, and then it gets further out.
Oh, and then it's further out.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Yeah, see, because I even misunderstood the analogy, but I like the whole record, like trying to explain science that way. Like, always trying to give a visual cue, kind of like Nolan does in his films, Interstellar, right? Like, and they've done it in Event Horizon where they like put a pencil through a piece of paper and like you can travel between two things if you could fold time. Kind of cool, explaining how you could time travel essentially. But so what else did you like about it before I get into my two favorites?
Yeah, just the different times he went. Like I said, I love when they start world building, and they did a good job with this. And like, I wanted more, which is actually a good thing, because if they give you too much, then it's like, oh, like, I don't know, this is a little over the top. But it was just enough to make me like, oh, I really want like to see more of this world. So it was fun.
I loved watching two EMTs. I was like, that could honestly be a TV show. Like, it was
Yeah.
so stressful to watch their job, and I was like, getting poked by a freaking needle
Oh
in
my
someone's
gosh,
pocket.
yes.
It freaked me out. Like, I was like, oh, couldn't do it, be an EMT. Nope. Like, it looked like a fulfilling job, and I'm like, you could help people. And
I
I'm
thought
like,
he was gonna get
you're making a
AIDS,
difference.
dude. I was stressing out when he got tested, and he's like, he's like, I only told you the good news. I was like, oh my gosh. After he was told he
You
had
got AIDS.
cancer. Well,
I know, the freaking tumor. Man, this is such a crazy... And so, the other thing is, I actually love taking... This movie benefits just like The Vast of Night.
yeah.
Sci-fi movies that pose bigger questions as opposed to like greater special effects, I actually think is better when you have movies that are contained. And sci-fi is always dealing with questions of humanity and what is it to be human, right? And that's a great question here, because it's like throughout time there have been terrible people. So really appreciate the time that you live in. I haven't seen a movie that hit that message home better than this one. Like, I loved Mackie's thing at the end where he's like, even like this crappy river, you know, he's in New Orleans. He's like, even this crappy time that we live in, like, this is the best time. Like, and I love that. And he's talking about a guy that missed his opportunity to get married and settle down. He keeps telling his friend that he's got everything. What an amazing, positive movie, a sci-fi movie. Usually they're a lot more bleak and more nihilist, but this one was like really touching. It's a really good sci-fi film. So kudos to that, because usually they always go for the depressing, bleak one. But this one had the really positive, even though it had a really touching and sad ending. It's a really good, positive sci-fi film. So good job, world. Produced a good, happy sci-fi film, even though it ends really sad. Okay, Cameron.
Wait,
two
really
of your
quick.
favorite
I just want
things.
to clarify so
Oh.
Cameron's not mad at me. I don't think it's a better film. I said I enjoyed it better. There's a difference, Nugget. Yes, obviously Donnie Darko's a masterpiece and it's better, but I prefer movies like this.
It's okay.
You don't have to
Jordan.
justify
Repentance is a real
yourself. It's your
thing.
opinion, dude.
I'm just clarifying is all, so you
Right,
don't freak out at me.
Repentance is real. It's okay, Jordan. Repentance is real. We all make mistakes.
Oh, brother.
Say things we don't mean.
Who made the decision that Cameron sets the laws around here? Like,
Me.
yeah, apparently only you.
Grant, don't stand up to him. He might come after you next.
He already does.
And then I think, well, first off, my first favorite thing in the movie is just Anthony Mackie. He just needs more work. He did a great job in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
Overall, just really good at performance. I don't know, he was very believable. I felt like all of his reactions were just like very like, I'm like, I feel like that's what I would feel like. I'm like, what the fudge, when you figure out like time travel and stuff like that. I feel like he definitely should have taken other things back with him, but I mean that's kind of
Yes.
goes into my nitpick.
Weapons.
Could have taken weapons like a gun or something.
Especially
like
after a guy just tries to knife you.
I
Freaking
would take it
settler.
back, dude. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, then that would make you look crazy or whatever. You just show up with like a weapon in some dude's house. Like, what the fuck?
Dude, there was nothing he could have done to make that guy not freak out the way he did. This guy is living in New Orleans where the Ku Klux Klan is the police force, okay?
And then
Not a thing he could have said to make that guy satisfied.
And then kind of similar to what you guys were talking about, I mean, I loved the different take on time travel and kind of doing a different location. Because that's what I really enjoyed about Project Almanac, and that's what I love about different movies that kind of have a different spin on time travel, is like going from a different perspective. Because everyone can do the time, we have a time machine or whatever, but it's like having a different angle to where, different location.
We have time drugs.
Yeah, so I thought it was really kind of a cool angle to go at. But then my second favorite thing is definitely, kind of Ty already mentioned it, is just like, the message.
Cameron mentioned it first on the podcast. You heard it here first, folks. Cameron thinks drugs are cool. Not paraphrasing, of course.
I think the message is really cool because I think it's kind of cool how it shows how unfulfilled his life is. I kind of like that thing where he's like going to kiss that girl goodbye, and then she like offers him a handshake, and I'm just like,
Oh yes, yeah.
So sad.
and so I think it's so cool. 'Cause
Lock the door after you leave.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it kind of shows, like how unfulfilling like that life is of just kind of like being like a player and stuff like that, and how like really, the other guy's like, yeah, with all the struggles you have with your wife, like that's the dream, and like that's the ideal life is having someone to like care for and someone to fight for and like go through hard times with.
Cameron, are you admitting that you don't like being single? Is that what's going on here?
Oh, I'm content of being single. Just kidding.
All I could think of is someone to care for, to be there for. I have you too.
But
all I
I
could think
love
of when
to
you
see
said that,
from
Cameron.
both guys, like, there's so many, like, times that I've heard, you know, from married couples, they're like, oh, I should have stayed single, and then you hear from the single guys, like, I wish I was married, and it's just like...
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, oh yeah, which is why the ending of You is perfect.
Let me tell you though, the grass is greener over here, guys.
I apparently watched a different movie than you guys, because I don't know. I just
He spelled always wrong on the rock.
I just didn't get it. There are some funny quotes, but that was pretty much it. And because the overall message I got from the movie is don't time travel if you're a black guy. Like, that was pretty much it.
That's what you got from it.
Because you'll just come back and you'll be like, man, the past sucks. So, I don't know. It was a weird movie. I was just confused throughout the whole thing. I just felt like it took too long to actually get to the point where he was doing, like, actually experimenting with the time travel. They should have done a lot more with him being back in time. Like, I didn't feel any weight either with the girl missing. I was like, who's missing? I was like, oh, his daughter. I'm like, okay, like, I have no connection to her. Like, there's no weight to that, like, plot point that she's missing.
How about when he spoke to her on the rock and they had those two interactions?
Oh, that was devastating, dude. That
no
broke my
idea
heart.
what they talked about.
Yeah, that was because he didn't spend enough time to listen to her. Remember, he's like, oh, I'm getting a phone call, 1 second. Like, right when she was about to open up to him. Oh, that just, like, broke my heart. That was so
Well,
good.
it was confusing because, like, they kept having flashbacks, I guess, of, like, the daughter talking to the parents, because they would just show that, and then it would cut to, like, her being
It was
gone.
the father
And
remembering. It was the father remembering like times with his daughter
I guess. I don't know. It was just very
while walking around the
confusing.
house and having things.
I will
remind
say,
him.
Grant, to your credit though, if you look away, you might miss things.
Yeah.
Like it would jump cut, like it would show him sitting somewhere, and then it would like cut
Yes,
immediately.
I
to him
love
sitting
those
somewhere else.
cuts. Those are cool.
Which kind of made me think of a record
Oh,
skipping
look
a
at
track,
that,
right?
cheap.
Look at me, just thinking of cool things.
I'm enjoying you guys explaining it a lot more than I'm watching the movie, so...
Well, and that's why I was excited to talk about it, Grant, because, yeah, I'll be honest, I definitely missed some things, and I need to go back and watch it, because I'll be honest, for the first while, I was like, who's missing? I honestly missed the part where the daughter went missing. I missed the inciting incident where they were like, my daughter's missing. I never heard that conversation, and I know it happened.
Well, no,
But
they
it
never
was
said
like-
like my daughter's missing. You just said the name. Said the name of the daughter, and then she's like, she's gone. It's
Still
like-
don't remember that, see? Like, I'll be honest, I didn't remember that
was
until
the
it was
chick
like,
that's high.
we have to go find her, and I was
said
like, oh, she's missing.
It's because the guy asked the chick who's like super high. He's like, "Is there anyone else we need to help?" And then he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, Brianna."
Yeah, when they said that,
She's
I'm like, oh
missing.
my gosh, is that his daughter? That just
Yeah.
broke my heart.
Oh, yeah, see? I honestly forgot that was her name.
Yeah, me too. That's why I asked my roommate, dude. He's so good. He pays attention to that.
Well, like I said, it just escaped me, but I did piece it together eventually where I'm like it didn't surprise me when he was like back in time and she was there. I'm like, oh, it's her? Like I pieced it together after like, I don't know, like, I mean, like I said, it was like when he's like, I gotta go find back and get Brianna. And I was like, oh, he has to go save her. She must have disappeared behind the drug. I just pieced that together, right? And then as soon as he went back to the rock place, like the first or second time, I was like, oh, somebody wrote that message. And I actually was piecing it together. I'm not gonna say I called it, but I was like, it was when he goes back, and there was like a little hint where I'm like, oh, he won't be coming back. I can't remember what
Me
it was.
and Grant
but-
both called that separately. I called
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
called
it
it,
was
and
like-
then told Grant. Then Grant didn't listen to me, and then he.
It was
told-
very
told it
obvious
later.
when he said,
And he was like, "Dude,
What's
I
that?
just thought of this," and I was like, "I literally said that like 20 minutes ago." He's like, "Well, no, I thought of it first," and I was like, "No, you thought of it separately," but I was like, you just didn't listen to me."
look, Grant, you're clever, man. One thing I was very confused was that crazy guy with the bone fracture. just yelling weird language thing, and I was like, what does this guy have anything to do with anything? How did he get his leg so effed up? What the heck was that?
Oh, the laughing psycho witch dude.
The skeleton guy, yeah. Also,
dude, Louisiana is a scary place. Yeah, watching Swamp Thing 2 just makes me, it just emphasizes even more, dude. Ooh, voodoo.
Yeah, that is not a, I do not care to go visit there for sure. Scary place.
Good thing my girlfriend's there.
Hope she's okay. I was just going to say, yeah, I like the time travel usage, and I actually really like their relationship. I think the two leads, both Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, I actually really like their relationship. I even like that they foreshadowed by saying, you're not just going to become another stereotypical EMT sob story, right, where you're just a doped up EMT. I love that because he literally starts taking the drugs later in the movie. And he is spiraling, in his depression. He's lost everything. It's also, so good.
He doesn't know that he's taking the drugs because he has fetching cancer.
True.
Talk about a lack of a misjudgment, man. He's like, you're not gonna become some druggie, right? And he's like literally taking.
Confirm for me. I'll have to watch the movie again. Did he start taking them before though? He knew he had cancer.
No, because they pointed out that he.
It was after.
Yeah, because the doctor pointed out that he had that young thing that only he could take it. Because remember, only young generation could time travel.
Right. No, I know that. But what I'm saying is...
only young generation could be time travel.
I'm saying, did he not start taking... I'm not saying the drug to time travel. Slow down. I'm not saying he took the drug to time travel. I'm saying he started taking drugs before he knew he had cancer, though, right?
No, remember they even said, they're like,
pills?
who's been stealing the morphine? And then they figured out it was the driver.
Yeah, because do you remember he figured out that he has cancer, and then he goes to call him, and then he just never presses call, and then the next time you see him, that's when he has a conversation. He's like, "Hey, you're not gonna be you're not gonna become one of those typical EMTs who's addicted to stuff or whatever."
Right, but he had already taken a pill. Remember, he was sitting in the back of the van in the ambulance.
Oh, painkillers. He was taking painkillers. Yes.
Was that when he already knew? I'll have to watch it again.
Yes.
Like I said,
it was right after the appointment.
Okay, like I said. Could be. I remember thinking oh, maybe something else is going on in his life before that.
Well, he had been drinking quite a bit, I think, because remember he said he'd been looking for the one, he couldn't find it, and so he just was sad about that.
Right, yeah. So he was that's what I was saying. I think the movie is almost more compelling if he had this problem before it was well, I'm fatal,
I think me and Jordan relate to Anthony Mackie a little too much.
The single life.
Put down the bottle, guys.
Yeah. We'll find the one. I don't agree with them saying, once you find the one, you never find it again. I'm like, no, I don't agree with that at all.
No, it was very bleak. Yeah, it was very sad. But see, I actually liked it. I didn't like his character. My nitpick is I disliked him.
Oh, he was horrible.
I didn't like him. Yeah.
He's a horrible human.
But in the end, I'm like, no, I mean, some people and I love what he said, though. He goes, I just want her back, And it's it's because you realize how much of an idiot you are, and you're a much worse off person than you were when you had her. So, go fight to get her back. That's the plot, that's the plot of every single movie. It's you don't realize what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
I was going to say the plight, and then I was like, it's the plot too. It's the plot and plight of every single protagonist in every movie. You don't realize how good you have it until it's gone. So
you're like a musician over here with the lyrics.
Musician or a magician? I don't understand.
Oh my gosh.
Is the words I'm saying music to your ears?
Yes, because you said you don't know a good thing until it's gone. I said you're a musician. Gosh dang it.
Like a poet,
just
maybe?
Take the compliment!
A musician is a guy that does music, Cameron. What are you, stupid?
Yes. Oh my gosh, because you're singing lyrics, and it's in every song, a song ever.
I think it would have been a funnier joke if he said oh, look at this philosophizer. Look at this moron. He thinks I'm a musician, eh?
Ty, did the driver of this EMT ambulance, did he remind you ambulance? Do you know some people say that really weird? Ambulance?
Ambulance.
Ambulance. Call it ambulance. It's an ambulance.
Who calls it that? No one calls it
that. Ty, listen.
Ambulance.
American.
There's so many videos.
Ambulance?
Nope. A lot of people say ambulance.
Ambulance.
Is that a South thing?
Look up a video called ambulance.
I dated a girl.
The funniest thing I've heard.
Do you remember Jenny? I dated Jenny, and she not drove, but she was in the back of an EMT, and she called it an ambulance. She's like, yeah, I work in an ambulance. I'm like, what did you just say? She's like, yeah, an ambulance.
I don't think you're allowed to administer medicine if you use the word ambulance that way.
No, American Gangster, Ty. And your boy in American Gangster, what's his name?
Denzel
Washington. He yells that. He's like, call an ambulance! Like, I'll send you the clip.
I'm pretty sure he says, King Kong ain't got shiz on me.
No, I will send you the clip, Ty. Anyways, we're getting off topic. Anyways, the driver for this ambulance, doesn't he remind you of the character from The Big Short when he's like, shut up, Jerry? Because he gets out of the car and he's like, get back in the car.
Yeah, he like tries to break up a fight and he's like, get back in the car.
And then he's like, get back in the car. Get over here. I need help with him.
Yeah, I know. But get back over here. Help me get this guy in the truck. Oh, that guy with the broken bones. So gross.
I don't have like any big nitpicks. Just a few that Cameron and Grant already mentioned. Just like he should have brought back some weapons after being attacked by somebody. Like, I don't know. It just seems like kind of important to stay alive. But
the one time he time travels and he's surrounded by other black people, you're like, oh, maybe he'll be all right. And all of them try to kill him too.
Well, they kept saying they're like, go
in the history of time that didn't try to kill.
They're like
the single.
Well, they're like, protect the spirit. I'm like, oh fudge, he doesn't even speak their language. He doesn't even know they're trying to protect him or whatever the fudge they think they're doing.
Yeah, because they kept saying the great spirit has come, and I'm like, oh shoot.
I thought they were all going to try to time travel with him, like, or hold on to him and
that's
then
what
time
I
travel
thought.
back with him.
Yeah, when he
I was
grabbed
like, oh my gosh,
him.
I think you got a bunch of crazy cult
Or I thought like a
going
hand was gonna still be on his leg or something, like part of his body was gonna to teleport.
Oh my gosh, a lot of people die. They time travel and you're like in someone's burning building and die. It's like,
that would
wow.
suck, dude. Like
7
my
minutes
roommate
you
turns to
time
me, he's like,
travel?
"That would be dope to try and travel with those pills." I'm like, "No, it would not." Are we watching the same film where somebody just appears and then I love the guys investigating those police officers. They're like, "Oh yeah, spontaneously combust," and he's like, "How am I supposed to write this on the report?" Because the girl's like completely burnt. It just.
Yeah, pretty much chalked that up to be the worst policeman ever. Freaking out. Shot him in the back of the head. He's like, whoa, hey there, settle down there. And he's like, whoa, just the EMT.
Yes.
He's like made a comment on that shirt he was wearing, but I was like, they almost blew him away. But then again, cooler heads prevailed. They gotta be suspicious.
Oh,
Maybe
and,
they weren't
and how
suspicious
about finding
because
the
of
guy in the
race,
elevator with the smiling face? Like, what the fudge? That was creepy as shiz.
Yeah, that was pretty terrifying.
That was so
All chopped up. Why was he chopped up? Yeah, what happened?
Yeah,
to
what
him?
killed him? I don't know. Well, and I was just wondering,
He
too,
went back in time to a wood chipper.
if they were in an elevator and he was moving up, wouldn't that mean he would fall back down? Oh, is that what happened? Maybe he fell down the elevator shaft.
That's possible. But it looked like
Yeah,
he was
I thought
broken
that's-
in pieces, but maybe it's just
No, because
mangled.
I thought that was the same. I thought that was the same guy from the beginning. Remember when he falls in the sand? I thought that was the same guy.
Oh, is that what happened?
So like that's why he's like falling. He's like falling in the sand, and then like I guess the time ran up or whatever, and he just like fell to his death in the elevator shaft.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's possible, Karen, because, yep, that would explain the fall, but why would he have the smile on his face? That's the tricky part.
That's I don't know. That's freaking creepy.
It definitely added to the creepy
My man falls to his death
thriller.
like this, just like.
Reminded me of the Joker,
Yeah,
laughing
every victim he
after he's
kills.
dead.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, this was a fun sci-fi film. Like, Cameron, as far as sci-fi goes, like, I enjoyed the rules. Did you guys have any nitpicks about some of the rules? That I would only argue that he had so few pills left.
But that added to the
don't know,
stress
like-
level, I felt like.
It did, and I think that they did a good job because, again, it contains it where it's like, well, because, like, for example, it's a drug that time travels, and you only have a limited supply. Usually it's like, well, when you have time travel, you can go back and fix any mistake. It's like, I liked how they were limited to where they could stand and then be able to get back in time to make, like, 1 or 2 different changes. But so it's not like, oh, I'd go back and kill Hitler. It's like, you have no idea where you'd have to be on Earth to find that spot. I thought that was really good.
I just wish the creator of the drug was like more.
I wanted him to come
important to the
back. Yes,
plot.
I wanted to call back with him. I wish that he would have found him one last time and told him something, or tried to like get more drug or something. I wish he tried to get.
But that
more drugs
added to
from
the
him.
suspense. I thought that made it a little bit better because the fact that he died, if you listen to the radio, it said that he died. And so he was like,
Yeah.
there's
No,
no-
I did catch that. Yeah, the doctor died. But again, I just kind of wish that they would have had another scene. But it did add to. He's not going to be able to make more of this. I understood that, but I'm just saying I almost wish that he could have gone back to him and then he could have explained one other rule that may have changed the meaning. I don't know, just something. Like I enjoyed his character. He's the guy that explained the science and everything. And it was just kind of like, hey, I'm making this, but I didn't know. Kids are the ones time traveling, not adults. It's safe for adults. But it's
I just wish they would have kind of gotten gotten into it a little bit sooner, because it's kind of the same thing with like reminds me of like The Signal, because I mean The Signal has like that setup a little bit, but it's only like a 20-minute setup versus like I feel like this kind of had like a 30 or 40-minute setup where you could have shaved off like 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh, The Signal,
like,
is that the alien one with Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
I love the beginning. I was so excited, and at the end I was like, what the fuck?
Yes, I love that ending. Holy crap.
Dude, it's really
I just remember someone running really fast. That's all
So
I
good.
remember. Yeah, it's okay.
Love it.
I love it.
It's all
my
right.
top
This one's
100 all
better.
time.
This one's better than Signal for sure.
I disagree. I think this is better than Signal. I mean, Signal's better than this.
No, you said it right the first time, Cameron. The former. This is way better than The Signal. Signal had some cool visual motifs, maybe better than this movie, but I think that this movie really hit on a lot of cool things about like humanity, right? When you look back on time, because right now we live in a time where it's like everyone's scrutinizing what you said 10 years ago, and they're like, well, let's cancel you, right? And it's like, I think this movie is really good, and it's like, hey, go back to any time. We were all pretty deplorable back then. Like, no matter what time you go to, you're savages, you're cannibals, you're witch, you're whatever. You're like all these things, right? And I love that it's like, yeah, like we are so fortunate to live where we do, living off the backs of everyone that got us here, right? So
Yeah, dude, if
I love
the
that.
sickness doesn't kill you, somebody else would. Goodness gracious.
An
the past
alligator, yeah,
sucks.
freaking.
I think
woolly
I
mammoth.
think the good thing that I think what they did really good. See, that's why I wish they would have done it, like everything up to or after that guy that sneaks into his house. I thought was fantastic, because I love it, because even after explaining the things, there's a lot of things that like that kind of go unexplained that like they explain. Like they do show don't tell. Like for example, you figure out that like what happens in that like alternate timeline carries over because he's wet, and then like the floor is cut on the ground below him.
where the
And
guy
you're like,
swung
oh
his
my gosh,
sword,
like
yeah.
like those consequences are real. So if that crocodile would have gotten him, if that guy would have cut him, like he would have died. So like they did a really good job of kind of explaining that without having to say like having that guy explain it. But
Really exciting too. Like I love that he was kind of what he said, like he was a physicist, like connoisseur or whatever. So he like loved studying this stuff, and it was like all stuff that he enjoyed. His dog named Hawking, like he loved this, and so when he finally discovered it, I liked how he was already experimenting and filming it. Like it was actually a very intelligent
what
way
a
of filming
genius
it.
filming it! Holy fuck!
Yeah, but then again, it's like it disappeared. Like he disappeared, and then like you watch the footage, and you're like, something's very clearly is happening, right? And it's not like edited or doctored in any way. It's like you're literally dissolving in front of the camera and reappearing again 7 minutes later. It's like pretty weird stuff, and it's like, well, I'll just have to take your word for it where you went for 7 minutes. But it's just very clever, and it's like maybe you should have thought to take the camera with you back in time, and then like held on to it, and then you could have filmed something. But again, it's like you only had so many
That's
tries.
insane.
That wasn't what his object was. His object was to go back in time, figure out how to replicate this experiment, and then test the hypothesis and go. It's a very
Just
good
on
movie.
YouTube, just live footage of the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, just a home footage of it.
It's George Washington. Oh fuck!
And it'll be like, come here, slave.
Get back in line.
Get back in line. It's like, oh, George Washington. No, I don't want to besmirch that man's character, because I'm very grateful for what George Washington did for the country. But it is funny to think that it would not have turned out good for our protagonist.
No, goodness gracious. And I couldn't believe he wanted to keep trying new spots. I'm like, are you insane? Like, who knows where you're going to go? Goodness gracious. That was stressing me out.
But that was smart of him going back to see. He did exactly, I think, the smartest thing. He went to 2 different spots, but then when he went to the second spot, he went to the same spot again to see if I go to the same place in the room, will it take me the same?
Yeah,
or
but
just
why
gonna
take
be
your dog
randomly?
back to
Oh,
a
it's
new
the same
place? That was what drove me crazy.
Oh yeah,
that stressed me out.
Well,
was not smart.
To say yes, but to his credit, he wanted to see if you could bring back living things, because sometimes
Yeah, but do
items
that in
don't
a
come
place
back.
you already know, like the cold or something. Like,
They didn't want to take him to the cold.
well, dogs.
Better than take him to some fetching racist guy's house.
Yeah.
Hey, he didn't know he was going to a racist house. And besides, the dog was
That's
white.
the
The,
whole
dog
point.
was going to be
Exactly,
fine
Ty,
after he
but
disappeared.
He's the EMT.
the point,
He's been
Ty.
seeing
Of course-
all the deaths.
Of course, he would have raised his dog to be very prejudiced and racist. But Hawking was white. Hawking's going to be fine.
Ty, he went. Okay,
Gosh.
I can't remember what I was gonna say. Who cares?
He took a dog back to somewhere he didn't know. Yeah, I totally agree.
No. What I would.
It wasn't ideal. It was like I Am Legend. It's like you had to have the scene where.
What
our
Jordan was trying to
protagonist has
say
put down the
was
dog.
you want to take him somewhere that you've already been because you know it's safe, or safer.
Yeah, because
Not enough trials.
he as the EMT saw all those dead bodies. It's like, holy cow, I don't want to end up like them. Like, why would you risk going to somewhere else? All of a sudden you appear in a burning building and then you cook, you know, like...
There was
Okay,
not a
that
single
was the one
time
thing
where
I
he
didn't
went back that he
understand.
almost didn't die. So I guess that was the expectation, was that he was going to go somewhere that he could almost die.
Okay, I didn't understand. What was the whole part about the, like, when did he see his mom and their graves, like, dug up? I didn't really understand that. When was the timing of that?
That happened
'Cause
before
he said,
when they were like younger and ready to go into med school. And then
Okay.
that happened where there was a
that just
flood.
kind of, like, scarred him.
Yeah. And I think that was part of the reason why he never really moved on. Like, he never settled down, didn't have a family, and he also felt the strong desire to go save his daughter.
Well, and he gave that
Not
guy...
his own daughter, but his
And he
guy's-
gave that
the
a
guy's-
caveman fire. Is that how history changed after that? Because I feel like that's a big thing. What if the guy had never
Yeah,
invented
dude.
fire?
Yep. He's just changed the history and the course of everything. It's amazing. It's amazing. Just like that.
Talk about repercussions.
Although I don't know how the guy would replicate it. I guess if he took the embers from that, because that thing would have gone out after seconds.
And maybe he
I mean, it was
started.
like
And maybe started
8 logs.
a whole new religion off of that cult when they saw the spirit. They're like, "Oh, this god, he's our new god." It's like,
Yeah, who knows how much he actually changed time, right?
Yes.
You know? It almost seems like they were expecting him to appear, by the way, which is terrifying. They were like, he's finally here. It's like, how long were you guys here waiting for me? Like, am I not the first time traveler? That's all I could think of. It's like, how much?
oh, interesting. Because all those other kids did time travel.
Yep. So it's possible that they're like, hey, like, how many people, like, got drunk or time traveled where he was? Because when did he do that? That was on the roof?
Yeah, that was in the chair on the roof.
Yeah.
And he had to climb up.
That
he
was
had
on
to
the
climb up
roof. So how
tree.
many drug users? It's possible to think that a lot of those kids on that rooftop got drunk or time traveled like that she did, but she wandered off when she first took it and then disappeared.
And I love
by
when
the
you
rock.
find out that she actually didn't like it didn't happen to her in the chair
Yeah.
because like you expect it because they always show the chair.
Yes,
all
the
time, and
empty
she's like,
chair.
I never said it was the chair, and you're like, what the
I was like, you
fuck?
should have told me that.
Get back in the house. You're high.
Yeah, get back in the house. You're high. That was the other quote. Any quotes
We
you
were
guys wanted to
laughing
throw out from this movie?
Me and Grant were just laughing because it's a pretty easy to break and enter on a druggie because what are they gonna do? Call the cops on you? They're just like, whatever. He's like get the F back inside. You're high or whatever. The person's just like,
I don't know, he literally breaks into her house and she's like, "What are you doing on my roof?" Like, that's it? Okay.
How about the freaking
Just
guy?
so-
How about the doctor breaking into his apartment? Not even searching for the drug, just waiting in his closet, waiting for him to appear. The guy could have had a gun and shot him just like freaking... Oh, wait, I don't want to spoil any movies. Yeah.
Oh,
so-
yeah. Grant hasn't seen it.
Yeah. So we won't even mention the movie, so... because it would spoil it. So, but yeah, I was like, that could have been a
Hey!
mistake. Yeah. Shot him right in the head, dude. Definitely recommend, Grant, you watch those movies on your watch list, and then we can talk about which ones.
second best Brad Pitt movie of all time.
So,
Burn After Reading.
right? Burn After Reading. That's hilarious. So this is okay. Any quotes you guys wanted to throw out real quick?
I think we said them all. It's just "racist baby" was the best quote.
Racist baby and the
racist
past
baby.
fetching socks.
Just yeah, because the baby's crying the whole time that that Mackie's holding it, and he hands it back. Racist baby. That's so funny. That was so funny.
That is so
His
funny.
cadence, the way he delivered that line was so funny, and then he just like chuckled. So I thought that was so great. Racist baby. So one thing I'm gonna take offline, Cameron, because I wanted to copy and paste this on. This was like the most profound thing I found from the EMT, but also mentioning time. So Dennis had this conversation. He goes, "Well, she had this book on her nightstand. Can't remember what it was called, but something like, and it was like one of the people they found, right? It was something like Facing Death with a Smile or some bullshit. While we were waiting for the coroner, I thumbed through it, and there was this passage about how we're all most likely to die. Brianna said that she asked me about it, and it's the third of us will be prolonged in a bed, a third of us will be a sharp decline in bed, and a third of us, it will be a roller coaster of organ failure, and again, in bed, being treated with the tiniest percentage. It is sudden death. And that is our business, man. We're seeing the exceptional ones, which is really crazy. You're like, I can't imagine the freaking toll that takes on people. Like, those EMTs deal with so much crap. Like, people doped out of their mind. They can't speak to you. They're endangering their lives to help these people that
That sword wound, holy
Yes.
fudge!
step through him. And you're just like, oh, like, putting that patch on him and like sucking up all that like liquid in his lungs.
And
I
he's
was
like, trying to talk to the girl, like, did you do this? Like, because they probably don't even know if they did it. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, they wouldn't know. They're like all doped up. It's like we have no credible witnesses. Everyone here is doped up. Like, that's such a sad thing. And you're like watching people do this to themselves. Like, that is a hard.
Well, they kept trying to ask people because it's like it's dangerous to give them certain drugs and stuff, you know, mixing with the drugs they've taken. So he's like trying to ask them questions, and everybody's either laughing hysterically like that psycho, or they're just like talking nonsense, or they're afraid because they don't want to get in trouble. So they're like, we didn't do anything.
Yeah, one other one, again, I'm taking this off of the site. It just goes, and in that moment, seeing what years of barely surviving is like, this man probably 10 years younger than me, but looked decades older despite his paleo diet, that I realized the past fetching sucks, man. Freaking love that. Like, oh man, that's so good. But the doctor describing it, you know, you hear the needle drop on the song you want to play, but they're all always there. These tracks are like time, right? Synchronic is the needle. It's like, oh, very exciting stuff. So I took those from IMDb, but usually I have the quotes memorized. But this movie, it was like watching it the first time, you're like, I can't get all these quotes. So I had to like write them down and find them later because I loved them.
I thought the snake guy was pretty interesting when he's like, he's poisoned. He's like, it's venom. I'm like, okay, what's the difference?
That's
like,
what I
doesn't
said.
matter. He's like, it's venom.
That's what I said. No, you didn't.
You know what reminds me? That reminds me of the Wolf of Snow Hollow. The suspect killer. Yes, the suspect killer.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
I'm working on that. Killer. I love it. Just like hecklers, you know. It's so funny. Any last things you guys wanted to say about this movie, real quick, before we recommend? Would you recommend this film? If you like sci-fi, small indie sci-fi with great acting and powerful emotion, this is it. This is a great film. I love this film.
Yeah, if you like time travel, I think it's a fun movie.
Great exploration, drugs and time travel. It's like Limitless meets
definitely a fun
Get
take.
Out. Yeah, Limitless meets Get Out. That's like, if you like those two movies.
I would say it's like Limitless meets what do you call it, Project Almanac.
Nah, Limitless
also
meets
like
Get
Get Out.
Project
It
Almanac.
reminds me a lot of Get Out for some reason. It's a lot of social commentary
even
on
close.
race, like a lot of the movie.
No, I wouldn't recommend this movie.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Well, you didn't even know why he spelled always the way he
Yes,
did.
okay,
so
I
you
got
could
it.
Go suck an egg.
I
Grant.
recommend this movie to myself to watch it again, okay?
Yeah, you should. You'd be like, I need to watch this movie again before I can recommend it. But after you watch all those amazing movies on your list, what do you have, like Saving Private Ryan and Burn After Reading? Go watch those, man. Those are great movies.
Yeah, we're going through all my top 100, and I'm showing everything, Grant, everything he hasn't seen.
Then Grant can be like,
She hasn't seen fetching
my
Wolf of Wall Street.
top
Come on,
my
son.
top 10 movies, 11. Oh, it's also 127 hours. Jordan, that was a great episode, man. Our top 10 movies, that was fun. All right, everybody, leave us a review, 5 stars. Write us an email, Futro
Check
Movies
us out on Spotify.
Yeah, Cameron always has to throw that in there.
I know.
Check us out wherever you listen to podcasts.
I love
Cameron's
that
like
you say
biased towards
that.
Spotify. You like it sounds
I'm
official.
so proud that we're on Spotify, dude.
Why? It wasn't that hard.
Spotify. It wasn't hard. Turns out anyone can be on Spotify.
Yeah, anybody.
You remind
can
me of Norman from Yes Man. You're like, I got one of these special Costco memberships. You can go in and get large quantity of things at discount prices. And he's like, I'm pretty sure anyone can get it at Costco. He goes, no, they can't. You remind me of Norm, dude. Oh my gosh. No, I don't think anyone can. Leave us a review, 5 stars.
Send us your emails at futromovies@gmail.com.
And check us out on Spotify.
And also check us out on Spotify.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Bye. Racist baby.